Hello and welcome back to Disco Elysium. Now, last time we had an encounter with Ruby the Instigator. We did not manage to talk her down from something unfortunate. And we found a journal of hers, which we're going to read in a second. Why did I put away my flashlight? No, it's still here. Okay. Let's take a look at this first, since that's right there. Dark water trails into the distance. There is no way out. Okay, now another thing that I wanted to do a while ago. Oh, also we have another gun. Nachtwey A80 pepperbox pistol. Equip this when times are most dire. This double-barreled pistol is a compact, no-nonsense design, more durable than precise. The walnut paneled grip is scratched up, bearing the sheen of long wear in the hands of its previous owner. Now, what I wanted to do, I think it's in the Interact tab. Since we are about to read something anyways, we should probably read that and that. I think we read the cockatoo one. I think we did. I hope we did. There's enough time to let me know whether or not we did, in case we haven't. Let's read the book La Fumée Volume 1, Number 4, the leading intellectual organ of Martinez communism. Offers a radical Masovian perspective on a range of contemporary issues. The cover features a stylized portrait of the late King Frisell with a pair of white antlers growing out of his head.
The front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Frisell. From the sides of his head, a pair of white antlers spread to the corners of the cover.
Why antlers?
Because white antlers are one of the symbols of communism. They represent a society in accord with the natural world and at the same time above it.
Okay.
A shameful way to treat a former king, even one as underwhelming as Frisell.
Why Frisell?
Because Frisell was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the communards wished to overthrow. It's satire, you see.
Let's flip through the pages, see what catches your eye.
To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. Just column after column of closely set text, interrupted occasionally by little doodles in black and white. No advertisements, you notice. So who's funding this radical commentary? After rifling the pages with your thumb several times, you return to the table of contents. The magazine is divided into several sections: international developments, Kunst und Kultur, and local concerns. Just inside the cover, there's also an editor's note.
Kunst und Kultur, of course, means arts and culture in German, just in case you didn't know. Since our, I think, encyclopedia is too low to translate that for me here, that means arts and culture. Let's read the editor's note first.
Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turn to smoke under communism. But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée. Unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel, La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers.
Okay.
Perhaps they've overestimated the market demand for this kind of commentary.
Yeah, I mean, in the communist Vision Quest plotline, if you go that route instead of this fascist route that I took here, you meet the people who wrote that. They're in a book club, and it's exactly two people in that book club, and you kind of get them to open up a bit, to not be as strict when it comes to letting people in, and also something weird and esoteric. But you can see that in my other playthrough if you want to, since I went down the communist route in my more honest one.
So please, if you value our radical Masovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors.
Kim, I think this is a communist magazine.
What do you expect? It was laying around the office of the Debarders Union. They're probably bankrolling the thing.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
I want to catch up on international developments.
This section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round of free trade negotiations between the EPIS nations and the Free State of Semenine. You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border, something about bear wrestling in Samara, book riots in Yugograd. Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You're not even sure where most of these countries are. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Okay, what is Kunst und Kultur?
It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kunst und Kultur must mean arts and culture.
Okay, so it translates it later on. Okay, that's good too. Let's read about it then.
As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring a local artist identified only as CS.
Cindy the Skull?
The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective.
Okay, let's read the profile of CS.
This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility to her interviewer. That certainly sounds like a certain delinquent youth who likes to harass you from her balcony.
That is true. Okay, just a moment. What is this tip-top tournée?
The actual article is surprisingly light on details, but after skimming a page or two, you gather that it has something to do with motor carriage racing.
Alright, let's see what these communists have to say about tip-top.
You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled with some nice anecdotes about a few of the more colorful drivers. Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip Top Tournée.
Wait, what's wrong with tip-top?
Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships, and then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes. So, all of it, basically.
Hang on, who wrote this stuff? What's so bad about sponsorships? What's wrong with a good motor crash? They just keep it interesting. Who wrote this stuff? No.
Under capitalism, the article says, every pursuit has its price. Every pleasure, even one as elemental as the joy of racing others around a track, is reduced to an advertising opportunity. Thus, the so-called tournée becomes a competition between increasingly meaningless brand signifiers. Your discount laundry detergent racing against a pack of Astra cigarettes, or even a fritter.
Right, but then you get to see them crash.
And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose interest. At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real racers that you're really watching for.
Okay, no, I'm pretty sure I like it for the racing. Wow, you're right, I really am just in it for the violence. Does he have enough insight to click that, or is he gonna keep pretending that he likes it for the racing? Well, then you get to see them crash, so I guess, yeah.
You see, one cannot avoid the conclusion that Tip Top Tournée is simply the apotheosis of spectacular entertainment under capitalism.
Kim, did you know Tip Top Tournée is actually an orgiastic ritual of capitalistic destruction? I had no idea. Kim, this article says that no one really watches Tip Top Tournée for the races. I think Tequila here would not say the first one, so...
Ah, come on. Can this article read your mind?
It seems to think so. No, I guess not. It seems to think so.
A certain kind of young man reads one or two books and suddenly thinks he understands the secret structures of reality. If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race. I take whatever they write with a large grain of salt.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Okay, let's see what they mean by... No, wait, actually, let's quickly go back
It
to
takes a
that. I'm
moment
gonna
as you
skip
leaf
through it.
The main feature, though, is a long you think you're
Let's-
instead you find where to even
Okay, come on now.
all of it, basically.
Because I misclicked and I wanted to click that first, I'm gonna quickly do that here. Yeah, hang on, who wrote this stuff?
Oddly enough, this article has 2 bylines. Nasteb Encolada Bernal and Exilus Buka.
Stepan and Ulysses are the actual names. Okay, what's wrong with a good motor crash? They just keep it interesting.
And that precisely is
Okay.
what's problematic about it. At the end of the day,
There we
you
go,
see,
let's quickly go
one
through
cannot
the
avoid
same
the
things again.
Come on. A certain kind of... If I had to...
You flip back
There we
to the
go.
front of the
Okay.
magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Now that that's done, let's see what they mean by local concerns.
Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified support for the dock workers' strike. You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city in revolt. First we take Martinez, then we take La Delta. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside Apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent.
Gaston, of course. Damn communists should have killed a lot of them when they had the chance. If it weren't for the wild pines, all those moochers would be out of a job. Charging rent just to live somewhere is pretty outrageous. Wouldn't it be better for everyone if labor and capital could reach some reasonable accommodation? Why should I care? This doesn't have anything to do with me.
One of the editorials proclaims that the more the forces of reaction attempt to crush the body, the more defiant the spirit of communism becomes. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Okay, let's put the magazine away. And let's read The Greatest Innocence.
The Greatest Innocence by João Paulo Salomão Lopes de Fuego. The book is large and heavy.
Let's crack open this immense tome.
Browsing through the various chapters, you try your best to understand the ceaseless overflow, the sprawl of names, dates, places, events historical. Most of it ends up as a twisted mass of facts inside your brain.
Okay.
Your educational survey is done. Did you catch any of that? No. Oh well, it's pop quiz time. Let's see what you've learned. This might take a few minutes. You ready?
Sure, why not?
That's the spirit. Here we go. Question 1. Who was the first innocence? Dolores Day.
Okay, so I know that it was the Pericarnassian. So I'm gonna press the other ones first for the flavor text. Let's go with Sola.
Incorrect. Sola was anointed during the previous century and even lived to see the current one. She was an urban planner who spoke her mind and largely left history to its own devices, encouraging people to excel on their own rather than prescribing to a deified model of history. She is often called an anti-innocence. Sola resigned after an assassination attempt by a Yugo nationalist who blamed her for not taking the side of the left during the turn-of-the-century revolutions. Innocences don't usually resign. Care to try again?
Dolores Day.
Incorrect. Dolores Day was the innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state. She codified parliamentary democracy and created modern institutions. Among these, the moral intern, she was powerful and beautiful on all her icons. Her colors are silver, white, and apricot. And when you think her name, Dolores, stomach acid rises to the back of your throat, and it hurts. You see a flash silver, a wreath, an airport bag, and blonde hair. You don't know why. Another choice, perhaps?
Yeah, we're definitely not projecting something onto the image of Dolores Day. Definitely not. All very healthy and normal.
Steer clear of this one. There's something terrible about this one.
What?
A strange sensation of loss. When she left the earth, the dust, and the ice, and the humans. That is unimportant to the quiz. Stop thinking about this.
Also, dolor is the Latin word for pain, so that's a nice little detail.
Yes, the quiz is impersonal. No need to rouse sensations in yourself at the mention of Dolores Day. Who was the first innocence? It wasn't Dolores Day.
By the way, dolor, I'm not sure if that's the root word or grammatically any of that anymore. I had Latin in school, but I forgot most of it. So if it's just one of the, like if it's in a different case or whatever, and it's not a root word, and the root word is slightly different, my bad, but dolor essentially means pain. So I just don't want to, pretend like my Latin is good, because it's not. So the Pericarnassian?
Correct. Nothing much is known about him. It's not even clear that he was a he, but Franco Negro presumed as such and called him Pius. He's depicted as a young man with molten gold pouring out of his mouth. All he spoke was gold. It's said he invented God and equality of men before God. He also introduced the gold standard as a way for measuring people's love for Aurum. As the first innocence, he declared that there should be more of those like him. It is presumed his disciples were the beginning of the Holy Party, the founding party. Question 2. Who was the strongest innocence? Dolores.
This time the answer is Franco Negro. I'm gonna ask Vespa Messina, which is a country, or used to be a country, that split up into Vespa and Messina afterwards.
Incorrect. Vespa Messina is not a person, but a defunct state on the southeastern coast of the Occident. It used to take up most of the peninsula before separating into the republics of Vespa and Messina. Care to try again?
Dolores Day.
Incorrect again. While she originated many modern institutions, launched several successful expeditions, and was even critical of the Innocentic system itself, and somehow keeps popping up in your mind, she is not often considered the strongest. Even though the words most associated with her rule are l'amour, la compassion, la autodiscipline, love, compassion, self-control, which could be seen as facets of strength. Would you like to try again? Please, relax.
Franco Negro?
Correct. Named the innocence of militarism, he codified hereditary rule, but at the same time ended serfdom and established the Inter-Isolari Real as the global reserve currency. He also established the concept of the nation. Franco Negro attempted to solve the rising tensions between the aristocracy and bourgeoisie by building a unified society in which every man has a place and a mission, but at the same time may rise to nobility provided on the strength of his virtue. Question 3. Who was the false innocence? Okay, it wasn't Dolores Day. She's not false.
I think it was Ernő Pasternak, and I think Stepan the Despicable actually defeated him, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna ask about Kedra, which is a country, I think.
Incorrect. Kedra is a large nation in the mid-northern area of the Mawindi Isola, north of the Occident, between the Ilmarin mountain range and the Pacific Mare Interregnum. Care to try again?
Dolores?
No, stop thinking it. I said it wasn't her. She was true.
Stepan?
Incorrect. Stepan the Despicable, regent of Kedra, was a ruler who conquered the known world during the Kedriatic conquest, instead of the despotic Ernő Pasternak. Would you try again?
Ernő Pasternak?
Correct. There have been a number of counter or false innocences, some assumed to have innocentic qualities, some who just thought so themselves. Occasionally, they have the support of a faction inside the ecclesiastic organization, and accusations of foul play have arisen. The most famous and important of these was Ernau Pasternak. He was into torture, despotism, hymns, cannons, and world conquest, but got defeated and humiliated by Stepan the Despicable of Kedra. Final stretch. You've come so far and learned so much. This is the most important one. Question 4. Who was the greatest innocence? The most important of them all. The most precious to humankind.
I mean, this one's obviously Dolores Day then. I'm gonna say Franco Negro.
Incorrect. While Franco Negro built concrete churches and cathedrals, and while many people, especially the Mesk, consider him a father figure, due to his militarism and nationalism, João Paulo Salomão Lopes de Fuego argues differently. Another choice, perhaps?
Ernest Pasternak.
Incorrect. He was a violent bastard, out to torture, maim, and kill whoever stood in his way. He was also a false innocence, disqualifying him from being the greatest and most important, and most precious to humankind. Would you like to try again?
Dolores Day.
Correct. The Mesk might see Franco Negro as the father of nations, but as of this century, there's been a great shift in attitude. Dolores Day has become widely regarded as the greatest innocence, a most radical change to the whole fabric of the world. Everything from inter-esolary travel to the connected world to 3 consecutive scientific revolutions can be traced back to her. Every decade that passes, she seems less human somehow, and more beautiful. And more beautiful. And more beautiful.
Okay.
Congratulations on finishing the test. The results and your subsequent grade have been calculated. You get
An F?
an F for failure. Ha ha ha.
Thank
You would
you.
have done better if you just left Dolores Day for the end. Dial the Dolores Day down a bit.
Damn you, you arrogant book.
What's going on with you?
Thinks it's so smart, goddamn.
Okay.
The lieutenant stares at you, his visage unflinching.
You are shouting at an inanimate object, like a real weirdo. No wonder you seem to have trouble with the right answers.
Man, something's weird about this book. You should do something fun instead. Rock out. Forget about it.
Let's put it away. And now it's time to read Ruby's journal.
A thick journal. The cover is worn like someone used to carry it around in their back pocket.
Let's examine the cover.
It's made of full-grain leather. The lower left corner of the back cover sports an embossed brand name, Schneller.
Gottwaldien or Königstein?
This was important to her, when it was still hers.
Let's unwind the strap.
The journal falls open. About 2/3 of its ruled pages have been filled.
Let's study the handwriting.
The large cursive of someone who writes quickly and confidently. Perhaps too confidently. Many phrases and even paragraphs have been crossed out, with tiny corrections scrawled above and in the margins.
Let's flip through the pages.
It's a mix of logistical notes, diagrams, and personal reflections, all dated.
We could learn a lot from this.
What kind of logistics?
Hard to tell exactly. It's mostly noted down in code. Looks like contact information, quantities, directions.
There could be useful information about local operations in those notes. We have a junior sergeant at my station who's good with codes. I can give this to her after we finish this.
What are the diagrams of?
Esoteric radio technology. The most recent ones probably pertain to the latitude compressor, sketches, calculations of distance and density. You make out a familiar spiral shape.
Anything personal?
Short, wry observations of people and places. Probably a way to pass the time on the road. Also, what appears to be attempts to sort through some difficult decisions. There are a few passages with many questions in them. Staff issues. Always tough on the leadership. You smell traces of betrayal.
How far back do the entries go?
The first entry is from August 2nd of last year. It reads simply, I know my position is precarious. All I can do is make myself as useful as I can while looking for a way out. Remember, no one is indispensable.
What did you write the day Lely died?
Nothing on March 4th. March 5th, though, well, that's bound to come back and bite me in the ass. I'm bad at this. Loyal to a fault. But that's another matter entirely. You have no idea what she means. These are personal notes. Don't expect to understand all of it.
Okay, anything about La Puta Madre?
That name isn't mentioned as far as you can tell.
No mention of La Puta Madre.
What about this M? Could this be La Puta Madre? Here, March 9th and March 15th.
Read the entry from March 9th first.
Great. M's peon is coming to town, no doubt to investigate the lynching. But also, I feel it in my gut to finally put a bullet in my head while I'm napping in my lorry or on a smoke break. Well, I won't stick around just to twist my own neck by constantly looking over my shoulder. Then again, isn't that what I've been doing ever since I got the call? Things played out just as she had feared, except you didn't shoot her.
Yeah.
It's in you to do something like this. Kill her. Physically, at least. You could pull the trigger if you had to.
I'm okay with the idea.
That's a good, pragmatic approach.
Read the entry from March 12th.
Been holed up here for 3 days now. I'm used to being alone and all, but I don't know when I'll be able to leave, or if I'll be ratted out. They will rat me out, of course. I've made it a point to believe in the best in people, the boys, for example. But experience tells me, did M feel truly betrayed by me? I was feeling threatened. He'd have to know if he threatened people, they'd take measures to protect themselves. Even I know that. Economic measures first of all. Gotta make a living, right? I can still hear his voice in the receiver. Taste the plastic. The entry ends abruptly.
What's the most recent entry? Conclude with journal.
The most recent entry is from today. It reads, even when I leave here, if I leave here alive, what's my next move? Staging a lynching is a crime, even if I'm not accused of murder on top of that. Forever on the run. Not really my idea of the open road. Man, I was really looking forward to winning.
I don't think she killed the mercenary. It looks like she might have been framed.
This whole thing was a detour, and a fatal one, he
So
thinks.
she died for nothing? She killed the merc, then turned the gun on herself. Case closed. It's so tidy. Okay, what do you mean framed? I'm gonna go with the second one because it's wrong.
No, it's dirty.
Kim, am I really a La Puta Madre agent?
No, I don't think you are. Ask someone in your precinct if you want to be sure.
Then who do you think killed the merc?
Classier was the one who pointed the finger at Ruby. Perhaps she was trying to steer us away from herself, or...
Seems plausible.
Either way, we should go back to the Whirling, see if we can find out more about her time there. One thing is for certain. We have business back in the Whirling and Rags. Questions to ask. We should get to it.
Okay, let us go then. We have another skill point. We have plenty of them. We can stack them up whenever we want to. Are we a peony? Return to the Whirling and Rags. Minus 30 for the good cop, bad cop points. We are definitely gonna break the 50 fascists. Maybe even the 15 ultra-liberal as well. I guess we'll see. Let's head back then. Come on, let's walk. And there we go.
Ratan! Now is the time!
Time for what?
Oh, you will see.
It feels like the tie is rubbing itself against your chest like a cat in heat.
First the spirits! The blue medicinal spirit! Grab the bottle and uncork it! It is time to unleash the other world!
Okay, wait, right now a woman just died and you think now is a good time to party? Slowly uncork the blue medicinal spirit. You know what? I'm done with this crazy talking necktie bullshit. Okay, slowly uncork the blue medicinal spirit.
The bottle opens with a silent, mysterious hiss. The fumes rising from its mouth are as crisp as the northern winds. Howling somewhere, lashing the boardwalk with brine and rain. An ancient warmth crawls under your skin.
Now, Bratan, take me off!
Wait, I didn't know I could do that.
Bratan! Have I ever lied to you? Just take me off!
The necktie tugs encouragingly at your neck. Let's take the necktie off.
Your fingers manage to undo the oily knot, and the necktie slides off. It looks so frail sitting there in your hand, weighing almost nothing.
Now what?
Now, put me in the bottle!
But why?
Trust me! Just trust me! You and I are gonna have so much fun it should be illegal!
I suspect that it might be, but that's too much fun. I suspect that it might be.
Just put me in the bottle, Bratan! I'm not gonna let you down! You and I are like the same person!
Put the necktie in the bottle.
As the necktie slides into the purifying liquid, large stains of grease rise off from it and float to the surface. There, they quickly dissolve and disappear completely. Cleansed by the blue spirit fire of 98.7% pure alcohol, the fabric looks almost new again. No longer like a disgusting worm of the lower intestine, but like a colorful and deadly poisonous reef snake of the Insulindian Ocean.
So, what next?
The necktie floats in the bluish liquid with almost unearthly grace.
Necktie?
There is silence.
Let's cork the bottle and put it away.
The lieutenant has been observing you quietly all this time. He's struggling to keep silent, but finally seems to give up.
I've got to ask, what are you doing?
I don't really know, but I'm eager to find out. In my family, when someone dies, you put a piece of clothing in a bottle as a sign of eternal respect. Okay, Kim, I didn't want to tell anyone, but my necktie has been talking to me lately. Mind your own business, Bino Claude. Well, I guess we're gonna have to go with that one.
All right, I won't ask again.
The lieutenant's face stiffens as he turns to look at the road ahead. Yeah, but I was given a really rude answer, so I kinda had to. Let's put the spirit bomb. Equip this when times are most dire. Your spirit guide to the party scene. The horrific necktie is floating serenely in the blue medicinal spirit, as it is still 98.7% alcohol. This necktie cocktail is extremely flammable and should be kept far away from an open flame. Let's put it in our right hand and be on our way then, I suppose. I don't think there's anything else left in here that we have to do. And let's move on towards Martinez proper. What's this? You should take out your flashlight. Yeah, but we're leaving anyways, so it's fine. Let's go. And let's roll up on Martinez proper. Now, we are not able to fast travel right now. And I'm sure you can imagine why if you haven't played before, but things are about to go down. So let's just make a run for it and see how this goes. Along the beach here, and then past our wrecked car. I think over here is the way up, yes. Then across the waterlock. And past here.